Hi, sixth grade. I'm Miss Marta, and this is the very first day of sixth grade, and we're going to begin with prime factorization. So what I would like for you to do is to get out your notebook, preferably a composition notebook, but any notebook will do. Open up to the very first page, and let's begin with, I recommend that you put a date on the very top line of your notes. So for instance, if you were to write 8/25, 24 on the very first line, whatever date it is, this is just a fictitious date I'm using for the moment as an example. It's important, I think, to date your notes so that if ever you're going back to look at your notes and you have a reference of time, it will help you find your notes. So I definitely recommend putting a date on the top. I'm not putting a date on the top because I don't want to date my videos, but go ahead, please do. All right, so after you put the date, skip 2 lines, and we are going to write the title, which is prime factorization. Now, as you can see, I'm writing notes along with you. Now you can definitely pause the video. You can definitely just sit back, watch the video, and pause whenever you find it's easy to stop and take notes. Or you can write along with me. Prime factorization. All right, the first thing we're going to discuss is what is a prime number? So a prime number is a number greater than 1 whose only factors are 1 and itself. All right, I like to use a little bit of highlighter here on my vocabulary words so that it's easy to find later. All right, so an example of a prime number would be, for instance, 3. 3 equals 3 times 1 and no other factors. All right. 7 equals 7 times 1. There are no other factors that are that can multiply to create 7. Now, and there's lots of them. 19, for example. 19 is 1 times 19. Nothing else but that. All right, so let me lift this up a bit here. All right, you'll catch me doing that, like editing my page, guys, which is kind of nice for you. All right, but let's say, let's do one more. Let's do 23. 23 equals 1 times 23. No other factors can multiply to give you 23. Now, what about 4? Well, 4, yes, definitely is 1 times 4, but it's also 2 times 2. And because, oh, that's not 2. That's a 4. 2 times 2. For example, 6. 6 equals 1 times 6, but it also equals 2 times 3. These numbers are not prime numbers. They're called composite numbers. So 4 and 6 are composite numbers. 4 and 6 are composite numbers. Because they have other factors. Okay, let me go highlight here again. Composite numbers, they have other factors. They have more factors than 1 in itself. They have many factors. All right, so that takes care of prime versus composite. Now, prime factorization, where does that begin? So let's say I have the number 30. Now 30, I can break it up into 2 times 15 and take that 15 and break it up into 3 times 5. So 30 equals 2 times 3 times 5. This is what's called prime factorization. I have created here prime factors of 30. And that's what it is. All right. I'm going to turn here. So just so you can take a look at my notebook, I'm going to do this occasionally. I'm going to zoom out so that you can see my entire page from top to bottom. And you can see that all my notes are very brief and very to the point and just enough that you can glance at the page without having to read into it. Just glance at the page and let the notes just pop off the page and you understand and you grasp the concept that's on the page. All right, I'm going to turn to the next page and let's do a couple of more examples. So let's talk about different methods. A tree method lets you break down the factors in any order. So let's take a look at 24. 24, I can make that 4 times 6. I can make that 2 times 2, and that is 2 times 3. Okay, so it's unorganized. It's in any order. So 24 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. And here are the prime factors of 24. I can also take 24 and break it up into, let's say 2 times 12. And that gives me 2 times 6, and that gives me 2 times 3. And as you can see, in both cases, it gives me the same prime factorization. Notice I have right here, let me see if I can find my pointer. I lost my pointer here. You can see right here I have 3 2s and 1 3, and here I have 3 2s and 1 3, and that's what I have right here for my prime factorization. One more thing that on prime factorization is that you can simplify this prime factorization and write it in exponent form. So if you notice, I have right here 3 2s. All right, so they are multiplying with themselves. So that's the same thing as 2 to the 3rd power. So I could literally write 24 equals 2 to the 3rd power times 3. And this is what we would call exponent form. Okay, let's take a look at that so far. All right. So think about it. Tree method just lets you break it up in any order. Now, we can do it with the step method. Let me pull this back out. The step method, it's like division. So we're going to divide by the smallest factor. So let's say we're going to take, let's take 72, for example, and we're going to break that up. We're going to take that and divide it by 2. 2 goes into 72 36 times. Now I'm going to take that and I'm going to break that into 2, and that gives me 18. And 18, I'm going to break that into 2, and that gives me 9. Now 9 is not an even number, so I can't divide by 2, but I can definitely divide by 3. 3 goes into 9 3 times. Then I'm going to take 3 divided by 3, and that gives me a 1. So the step method, let me move it down a bit here so you can see it. All right. The step method is a more organized method. I recommend it, especially if you feel that organization is something that you need to do, or if you want to have it in order from least to greatest, the prime factors. So if you take a look right here, you'll notice that all my prime factors are already written right here in order from least to greatest. All right, so I have that 72 equals 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. And again, I can write this in exponent form as 2 to the 3rd power times 3 to the 2nd power. All right. So here are two methods. As you can see it on my page, I have two methods on my page on prime factorization. All right. And we're also addressing not just the prime factorization, but that we can simplify it in an exponent form to make it a little bit easier to read. All right. And that is it for today's lesson. I hope now you're going to take this information and go and do some practice. All right.